So okay, good morning, friends. Okay, we are discussing about the inflation. So in the part of that yesterday, we discussed about what is inflation and what are the types of the inflation, and also discussed that what are the causes for the inflation. Okay, here the causes for inflation was divided into two categories. That is demand side inflation and supply side inflation. Whatever the reasons we will see from the demand side inflation, theoretically it is known as a demand push inflation. And whatever the things we discussed in the part of in the side of the supply side inflation, it may be known as the supply side inflation or cost push inflation. Okay, demand push inflation and cost push inflation, these are the two important aspects regarding the what is called causes for the inflation. Okay, theoretically, when we are discussing about the concept of this inflation, okay, when we are talking about this concept of the inflation, there is a one concept we have to understand that called Phillips curve. Okay, known as the Phillips curve. What is Phillips curve? Okay, Phillips curve is the concept we have to see in the part of this what is called inflation. Okay, whenever we are talking about this Phillips curve, the Phillips curve is an economic theory that the inflation and unemployment have a stable and inverse relationship. Okay, the Phillips curve will explain the relationship between inflation and unemployment. Okay, inflation and unemployment. That is what we can see. So the relationship between inflation and unemployment. According to this Phillips curve, between these two, we have the inverse relationship. That is opposite relationship called negative relationship. So it was developed by A.W. Phillips in 1958, who belongs to Britain. He also developed this concept after the observation of Britain economy. So during that time, whatever the concept were there, whatever the circumstances were there in the England, he observed the consequences, circumstances. So based on that, he was the person who developed this concept. Okay, this concept was developed. That is what we can say. Okay, yeah. So it claims that with economic growth comes inflation, which in turn should lead to more jobs and less unemployment. So here, economic growth, even today, the economic growth, definitely it is depending on the what is called inflation. Okay, we know. So inflation, it is depending on completely on the inflation. So here, whenever there is a less inflation, there we can have the good economic growth rate. Okay, that concept here explained. So the Phillips curve, if you see the Phillips curve will be like this. Okay, this is the Phillips curve, what you can say. The downward slopes from the left to right, which is called a Phillips curve. Okay, Phillips curve. Here, on the OX axis, we are measuring the unemployment rate. Okay, this is called unemployment rate. On the OY axis, we can measure the inflation rate. Okay, we can measure the what is called inflation rate. So here, already I told you, okay, this is called Phillips curve. Okay, this is called Phillips curve. Under this concept, so under this Phillips curve, if we see, based on this one here, whenever there is a high inflation rate, there will be less unemployment rate in the country. Okay, less unemployment rate in the country. Less inflation rate means there will be more unemployment rate in the country. Okay, as long as the unemployment rate is increasing, the inflation rate is coming down. If the unemployment rate is decreasing, the inflation rate is going to be increases. Okay, inflation rate is going to be increases. So, as we know the economic theory that if we want more economic growth, there should be less inflation rate. Okay, there will be less inflation rate. Here, there will be less, if there is a less inflation rate in the country, please remember, if there is a less inflation rate in the country, here, according to this theory, there will be more unemployment rate. Okay, more unemployment rate. That is, we can observe. Okay, less inflation rate means more unemployment rate will be there in the country. So, more unemployment leads the less wage rate. Okay, more unemployment, it leads the low wage rate. Low level of the wage rate we can see. If there is a low level of wage rate in the country, okay, low level of wage rate in the country, automatically wages are less, then automatically production cost will be less, automatically prices will be less. That is what they discuss. That's why, so this inflation was measured based on the real wage rate. Okay, real wage rate. So wage level, wage based or wage rate based inflation. That is what we can see. Okay, this is the one important thing what we can see when we are talking about this one. Okay, so we can see the inverse relationship. Okay, more unemployment rate, less inflation rate, or more inflation rate, less unemployment rate. So it's called inverse relationship. So this person explained that if you want more economic growth, there will be less inflation rate. So the less inflation rate, if there is in the country, means there one side more unemployment will be there in the country. Okay, unemployment rate will be there in the country. So that is what we can discuss about this concept when we are talking about this particular aspect. Of course, this was criticized by Milton Friedman, economist known as Milton Friedman. So he was discussed that maybe whatever the Phillips told that that may be applied in Britain economy, but in the same feature, the same capitalist economy where it was implemented in the America. So in America, this concept was not implemented. Okay, because in America, during that time, in the same period, during the 1958, so what the Milton Friedman observed that there was a more inflation rate at the same time, more unemployment rate in the country also. If you take example, India today, okay, in India, what we can see, one side there is a more inflation rate, and another side there is a more unemployment rate in the country. Unemployment rate is there, at the same time, inflation rate also there. So, but according to this theory, what we are saying, inverse relationship, opposite relationship. But here, if you observe this concept, so we cannot see the inverse in the real circumstances. So that's why the many people criticized this Phillips curve concept. But anyway, this is the one of the important aspects we have to understand about the Phillips curve when we are talking about so this concept. Okay, then now the very important for the examination point of view. Okay, for you, this question is very important. Trade cycle, inflation is one of the important question. At the same time, what is called inflation is one of the most important question for the examination point of view. About trade cycle. Trade cycle. What is a trade cycle? What are the features of the trade cycle? And what are the different stages of the trade cycle? Okay, trade cycle, features, and stages of the trade cycle. So this will be the question for the exam point of view. Okay, trade cycle is related to inflation only, because whenever there is a more inflation in the country, inflation leads to fluctuations in the economic activities. Okay, whenever there is an inflation in the country, definitely there is a chance for the up and downs in the economic activity. Okay, there is a chance for the fluctuations in the economic activity. Okay, economic activity. That is what we can see. So that's why when we are talking about this trade cycle, is linked with the inflation. Trade cycle, nothing but there is a up and down in economic activity. Okay, there is a fluctuations in the economic activity. Like a trade cycle, okay, it will refers to the fluctuations in the economic activity. Anna class lo okay, a trade cycle, it refers to the fluctuations, okay, in economic activities, especially employment, output, income, prices, profits, etc. Okay, profits, etc. Economic activity, there are many economic activities, like employment is economic activity, unemployment is economic activity, income is economic activity, okay, production is economic activity, price is economic activity, demand is economic activity. Okay, so demand, supply, price, okay, for saving, investment, all these are economic activities. Okay, trade cycle, nothing but, okay, trade cycle, nothing but there is a fluctuations in the economic activity. Okay, economic activity, nothing but all these are, whatever you discuss it till now, all these are called economic activity. Okay, if there is a up and down in economic activity, that concept is known as the what is called trade cycle. So about the trade cycle, the different people were given the different opinion, means the different people defined the about the trade cycles with different ways. So among them, according to Michael, one of the economists called Michael. So according to this Michael, business cycle are fluctuations in the economic activities of organized communities. Okay, business cycle or trade cycle, nothing but they are the fluctuations in the organized communities. Okay, organized communities, nothing but country, economy, organized sector. So in the organized sector, in the organized community, during some period increasing, going for the boom period, and during some period it is decreasing, going for the recession. If this is the condition, okay, maybe known as the trade cycle. So in organized sectors like it may be agriculture sector, it may be industrial sector, okay, it may be services sector. So in any sector, if there is a up and down or fluctuations in the economic activity, so that is known as the trade cycle. And the objective of business restricts the concept of fluctuations in the activities which are systematically conducted on the commercial basis. Systematically will be changes. So in case of the what is called trade cycle, according to J.M. Keynes, so we know that J.M. Keynes is one of the most important economists in the economist. Okay, according to this J.M. Keynes, so who is known as the father of macroeconomics. Okay, he was the most important person, particularly in macroeconomics. So according to this J.M. Keynes, a trade cycle is a composed of periods of good trade characterized by rising prices and low unemployment percentages, altering with periods of bad trade characterized by falling prices and high unemployment percentages. So here he told that some period it will be boom period and some period it is a recession period. Okay, it is the characteristics of the good trade. Good trade. So characterized by rising prices. Okay, prices are increasing, at the same time unemployment is decreasing. Okay, see, please remember, increasing price always is not a negative in the economy. Sometimes, so it is will promote the economy also. So like when the rising the prices slowly, profit will increase for the producer. When the profit increases to the producer, they will go for the reinvestment. Okay, reinvestment means they will go for the production. Production increases, automatically employment will be generated in the country. Employment is going to be generated in the country. So that means employment problem will be solved. Unemployment problem will be solved. So that is one time. On another side, with the periods of the bad trade characterized by falling prices and high unemployment percentages. Okay, this is called trade cycle according to who is called J.M. Keynes. Okay, the trade cycle are having some features, important characters, or some important features. Like a business cycle is a synchronic. Okay, it is a synchronic, means when cyclical fluctuation started in one sector, it is going to spread to other sectors. Okay, so if any fluctuation will be started in one particular sector, this will impact will be there another sector also. It is going to spread on another sector also. Okay, that is one important character when we are talking about this trade cycle. So in a trade cycle, a period of prosperity is followed by a period of the depression. Okay, like it is a movement. One time, some period it will be boom period, prosperity period. And another side, we can see depression period, a recession period. Okay, like it is a movement, up and down. We can see the trade cycle. And business cycle is a recurrent and a rhythmic. Prosperity is followed by the depression and vice versa. Okay, so recession followed by recovery. Okay, depression and prosperity. Like that, it will be cyclical manner. A trade cycle is a cumulative and self-reinforcing. That is, each phase builds on the itself and creates further movement in the same direction. Okay, so one that we can say the cause-effect relation. This is the cause, that will be effect. And a trade cycle is a asymmetrical. That means the prosperity phase is slow and gradually, and the phase of the depression is rapid. Okay, so it is not a symmetric, not a equal, asymmetric, unequal. So that means prosperity will be there slow, but recession will be there in the rapid. Prosperity effect will be injected in the economy very slow, whereas the recession effect will be there so rapidly. It is going to spread to other sectors. Like the business cycle is not a periodical. Business cycle is not a periodical. Some trade cycles last for the 3 or 4 years, where other they last for 6 or 8, even more years. Okay, the trade cycle is not having common years, common time. Some trade cycle will start or end with 3-4 years, or 5 years, or 6 years, or more than 8 years, or 10 years also will take sometimes. Okay, that is we can see. Okay, like so this trade cycle. Okay, this trade cycle are divided into 4 important phases. Okay, in the trade cycles we have 4 important phases. So like that is generally prosperity stage. Okay, prosperity, like after the prosperity, we can see a recession stage and depression stage, that is called economic crisis. And 4th one is known as the what is called recovery stage. Okay, we can see the recovery stage also. So this 4 concept we can see. So one side we can see prosperity, and another side we can see the recession, depression, and recovery. These 4 trade cycle is not a sequence. Please remember, they are not having the sequence, but one after one they will come in the cyclical manner. Which is going to be start and where it is going to end, we don't know. A cycle. Cycle means there is no starting point and there is no ending point. Cycle nothing but a circle. Cycle nothing but and coming and going. There is no starting point and there is no ending point. That's why the trade cycles, where they are going to be start and where they are going to end, we don't know. Okay, we don't know. But once, if anyone started, this will be the sequence. For example, so if you started with a recession, after the recession, okay, after the recession, immediately it will be the depression, then recovery, okay, then prosperity. Suppose it started with recovery, immediately prosperity, then recession, then depression. If it is started with a depression, which is called crisis, after that recovery, after the recovery prosperity, then recession. Okay, recession. So this is what we can see. So like that, so we can understand this concept too when we are talking about this one. Okay. So like that, these trade cycles are having this one. So in this particular aspect, suppose if we say the first one is a depression, okay, during this depression stage, all the level of the economic activities, all economic activities are going to be decreases and they are the below equilibrium level. They are the below equilibrium level. So during the depression stage, the level of the economic activity are falling and their idle resources and price is low, leading to a fall in the profit. Since the price is low, it will lead to the low profit. So low profit, nothing but no reinvestment, and interest rate and wages are very low. And all the sections of the people suffer. During the depression stage, which is called economic crisis. Okay, during this stage, all people will be suffered. Wage earners will be suffered because of low wages. Investors will suffer because of the low level of the profit. Okay, the government will suffer because of the tax reduces. No economic activity can be run without taxes. That's why the private people, individual, corporate sector, including government, all will be suffered during the economic depression. During this phase, there will be pessimism leading to closing down of the business firms. Like negative thinking will start. So the firm may not be continued by the producer. So with the expectation, the people, they may go for the closing of the firm. Okay, they may go for the closing of the firm. So here 2 points, please remember during the depression stage. During this depression stage, all economic activities are decreasing. First point. Second point, they are the below equilibrium level. They are not up to mark. They are not up to requirement. They are below required. Okay, they are below a requirement and each of us. Okay, and the second is a recovery stage, we can say. Okay, during the recovery, it denotes the turning point of the business cycle from the depression to the prosperity. Okay, from the depression, from the economic crisis to prosperity, it is moving towards the prosperity. Okay, when there is an economic crisis, when there is a depression, during this stage, the government will involve and the government will take some important measures. It may be welfare mechanism and some other measures will be taken by the government. And with the help of these measures, okay, with the help of these measures, so automatically the economic activities improvement will be started. Okay, the economic activities will be started the development in the economy. So automatically, so it will go towards the prosperity. So recovery denotes the turning point of the business cycle from the depression to the prosperity. In this particular phase, there is a slow rise in output and employment, income and price. So slowly, price will start to increase, employment level started to increases, production and output also will be started to increases, and demand for the communities go up. Demand. So income slowly, the employment will be generated. The either welfare mechanism or employment creation, the people will have some income. When the people are having the income, automatically, so what is called the demand for the goods, the purchasing power of the people is going to be increases in the economy. So in this phase, there is a slow rise in output, employment, income and price. Demand for commodities go up. There is a increase in the investment and bank loans, advances will be available. Okay, pessimism gives way to optimism. So optimism will think positive. Okay, in the future, we will be improved. We will be developed. That will be positive thinking will be started. The process of revival and recovery becomes cumulative and leads to the prosperity. Okay, it will be lead to the prosperity. So the next stage, third stage will start the prosperity. Okay, during this prosperity, during the prosperity, it is a state of affairs in which real income and employment are high. Employment will be high, unemployment problem decreases. Income level increases. GDP level will be increases. And there are no ideal resources. All the resources will be utilized. Okay, without wasting. And there is no wastage of the materials. No material is going to be wasted. Okay, all the materials are going to be utilized properly for the economic development. There is a rise in wages, prices, profits, and interest also. Price level increases, wage level increases, profit level increases, interest will increases. So reinvestment will be started, production will be created, and employment will be generated. So all the economic activities will be there in the country, above in the equilibrium condition. Okay, income is there more than equilibrium, more than requirement. Investment, everything will be available more than the requirement during this what is called a prosperity stage. So demand for bank loans increases. There is an optimism everywhere. There is a general uptrend in the business community. So business activities will be improved. So then the fourth stage is called recession. When the entrepreneurs realize their mistakes, okay, yeah, generally during the prosperity, okay, yeah, when there is a prosperity, during that period, all the economic activities are in the above equilibrium level. They are the high level. In this particular stage, generally, if there is any problem will be started, economic activity, there will be impact on the economic activity. Okay, when the entrepreneurs realize their mistakes, they reduce the investment. Okay, so if any mistakes will be happen in the economy, that was realized by the producers, they will start to decrease the investment. So if the investment decreases, automatically production started to decrease. Employment level is going to be decrease started. And then fall in employment leads to the fall in the income, expenditure, prices and profits, everything will come down. Optimism gives way to pessimism. Banks reduce their loans and advances. Business expansion stops. The state of the recession ends the depression. Okay, it will lead to depression. Again, depression will be start. Okay, because after the depression, again recovery will be start. After the recovery, so again the prosperity will be start. Okay, like if you say on the OX axis, we can see the time, and OY axis, if you measure the economic activity, okay, economic activities, generally this condition may be known as the equilibrium condition. Okay, equilibrium condition. That means all economic activities, if they are up to this much, condition is equilibrium condition. Equilibrium condition means all economic activities are available according to the requirement. Okay, according to the requirement, we can see. So here, if the economic activities are above the equilibrium level, this may be known as the prosperity. Okay, it may be known as the prosperity. So once the prosperity will reach the peak stage, because of some problems, the economic activity slowly started to decrease. This may be called recession. Okay, recession. Please understand here, during the prosperity stage, okay, during the prosperity stage, see, all the economic activities are above in the equilibrium, and they are increasing gradually. They are increasing slowly. Two characters we can see. One is all economic activities, they are above equilibrium, and the second is they are above equilibrium, and the second is all are increasing. These are the two characters we can see in the prosperity stage. Okay, this is called boom period, peak stage. Okay, after the boom period, because of some mistakes or some problems, or it may be internal effect or external effect, there will be some impact on the economy. If there is an impact on the economy, economic activities are started to decrease, which is known as the recession. Okay, this concept is known as the recession. Recession is the concept where the economic activities are starting decreases. All the economic activities are started to decreases. But here, point is above equilibrium level. Please remember. They are the above. This is the equilibrium level condition. So the economic activity may be decreasing, but they are the above equilibrium level condition. So once the economic activities are decreasing, if they cross the equilibrium level, that means if the economic activities will come down to below equilibrium level, this is known as depression. Okay, this is known as depression, or we can say crisis. So during the crisis, we can say that all economic activities are below equilibrium, first of all. Okay, economic activities are below equilibrium level. And they are decreasing gradually. Okay, they are decreasing gradually. And if there is an economic crisis in the country, definitely government will involve. After the involvement of the government will take some important measures. For example, during the pandemic situation, when there was an economic crisis in the country, government was announced the stimulative packages in the name of Atmanirbhar Bharat program recently. Like that, in any country, not only India or any country, any period, if there is an economic crisis situation in the country, the government will follow some important policies and will try to stimulate the economy by implementing some important policies. Because of that policies, the economic activities again will be restarted, redevelopment or improvement will be started, which is known as the recovery stage. Okay, this concept is known as the recovery stage. Recovery. So, if once the economy recovered, it will go for the equilibrium condition. This is called equilibrium condition. If that economic activities are increased more than above, what we will say? It is called again prosperity. Okay, like that. So the economic activities will be there in the country. Okay, that is what we explained in this diagram. Okay, this is what we explained in the diagram. Okay, this is called equilibrium condition of the country. Equilibrium condition or economic growth or trade growth. Economic growth or trade growth. So these are the fluctuations in the economic activity. Okay, this is since above equilibrium level, it is known as prosperity. Okay, which is known as prosperity. Okay, if this is okay, this is the prosperity, this is the resistance. Please remember, whenever they are increasing, known as the prosperity. After that, it is started to decreases. Okay, this is known as the resistance. So if the resistance is below equilibrium, this is called depression or economic crisis. So when the economic activities are started to increases, this is known as recovery. Okay, this is known as the recovery. So like that, we can see the economic activity. Okay, this is what we can see when we are talking about this particular aspect. Okay, particular concept, that is a trade cycle, important concept. Okay, on this particular aspect, particular topic, if you have any doubt, please ask me. Mm.